time of the month. Lady business, periods, riding the crimson wave. All of these are euphemisms for menstruation. Yes, we're talking about menstruation, and specifically how menstrual cups help us break that taboo, empower women and people who menstruate in their day-to-day life, and save the environment. This is why I use a menstrual cup. My name is Cindy Belardo.
And my name is Pranav Mohan, and we're both menstrual cup advocates. So when Cindy shared with me for the very first time that she uses a menstrual cup, I was really intrigued. Why does she use a menstrual cup?
Well, when I heard about the menstrual cup, I sort of heard it was this eco-friendly alternative to menstrual management. But when I used it for the first time, I discovered so much more. This little cup lasts 8 to 10 years. Can you believe that? And it's an amazing environmental and ecological economic benefit. This lasted me the whole day. This was the first time I didn't have to worry about changing out my menstrual product. And I slept through the whole night, didn't have to worry about it. It was so comfortable, I forgot that I was on my period. Imagine that. Never happened before. And this is made out of medical grade silicone, so it's flexible, it molds to the shape of your body, and that silicone also has antimicrobial properties. It's also hypoallergenic. The way it's placed in the vaginal canal, it forms a seal, and that prevents and reduces the risk of toxic shock syndrome, which was a definite plus for me. Also, it eliminated any rashes, chafings, and odor, which I usually experience with tampons or pads. And I was just astonished. How had I not heard about this sooner?
Yeah, so when Cindy shared her experiences with me, I was flabbergasted on how such a technology could have existed since the 1930s, and not many women have heard about it. Well, this was our question. So we, along with Abhishek Yadav, we won a grant called Project for Peace to educate women in India, not just about menstrual cups and other sustainable menstrual management techniques, but also menstruation and various other taboos surrounding it. We conducted 30 different research seminars with about 800 different women in my hometown, Lucknow, in India. We stayed in touch with about 300 of them for the period of 5 months to gain various insights on how menstrual cup actually helps solve so many bigger issues, such as breaking taboos. Now, in an Indian society, there are many cultural norms that actually prevent the mobility of the women during their menstrual cycle. And on top of that, they can't really talk to anybody about it because it's a topic of taboo and nobody really talks about it. And that's the case even in the United States. Well, menstruation is a completely natural process. It's just as how your heart beats or how your lung pumps air. Menstrual cup actually helps in making the women become more open and talking about their experiences and thus breaking taboos. And because there are so many different benefits to using the menstrual cup, as Cindy mentioned earlier, they can last for up to 12 hours, they're more comfortable, and women actually forget that they're on their periods. And that's what helps transform their lives. There's a sense of freedom in being able to perform your daily tasks with much more ease and efficiently. So when we asked our users to describe their menstrual cup experience in just one word, do you know what they said? They said freedom. And that's how menstrual cup helps in transform lifestyles and empower women. And at the same time, you can save the environment. Because one menstrual cup can last for up to 8 to 10 years. I mean, what thing even lasts for 8 to 10 years these days? So by being able to promote this environmental consciousness, actually the person becomes much more aware of their ecological footprint. Thus, in this way, menstrual cup actually helps in saving the environment. So these are the three main big issues, besides the various benefits that the user gets, that actually menstrual cup helps in relate to many bigger issues that are very common in our planet today.
So let's talk a little more about that taboo. And as Pranav mentioned, the ladies that we met through these sessions in India, they told us about how they were restricted and limited in certain ways. So they weren't allowed to go to the kitchen in some cases, weren't allowed to go to temple, and sometimes not allowed to touch certain foods. And this taboo is around the world. We see it here, even in the US, even in my life, although it's different. But I'm sure many of us can relate to this situation. All the menstruators in the house, do we remember hiding pads, tampons in our pockets and our sleeves to go to the bathroom to keep it a secret? Or what about trying to hide that we've leaked through our clothes? Anyone? Yep, thank you. So we remember that. And all this stems from this myth that menstruation is dirty and needs to be kept a secret. And this is exactly what we want to combat. That's not the norm. We don't want it to be. And so we asked these ladies in our sessions, is it easier to talk about menstruation in comparison to when you didn't use a menstrual cup? How is that? Did the menstrual cup help you talk about it? This is what we found. 7% were indifferent. 43% said it didn't really help. But 50%, half of the session respondents, said it was easier to talk about menstruation after they had been using the menstrual cup. And this is super significant because of these taboos and restrictions we know these ladies face. That half of them could start talking about menstruation, that is an accomplishment. And we just hope that by sharing and talking about menstrual cups, empowering people to speak up, that we can help diminish some of those restrictions. Another question we saw, and we saw a little glimpse of the possible benefits about talking about it, was were you able to convince anyone, any of your friends, to use the menstrual cup? What we found was that 81% could convince one friend or more, which is amazing. 18% told 10 people or more. And this is just a little glimpse of how something as simple as talking to our friends can help break down that pervading stigma. And that's what we hope to see. So what about their experiences? What were they getting in benefits from the menstrual cup?
Yeah, we asked the question, why do these women want to use a menstrual cup? What are these benefits that they're getting? And how can something that weighs, just an ounce or 30 grams help in transforming lifestyles? Well, we have to keep in mind that most of the users and the women that we reached out to had been using cloth or rags for their entire lives. And this was a no-brainer for them because they're so readily available at home. But we're all aware that there are so many negative sides to using cloths as your menstrual management technique. One of them being that there's very intense odor. And this kind of odor can also come in using pads and tampons as well if they're used for a long time. And there are lots of other things, other downsides of using pads and tampons that you guys can research on your own. So we were interested in finding out that how many users actually associate that odor with their menstruation experience. Well, about 89% of them said that they experience bad odor from the cloth, pads, or other alternatives that they use. This number drastically changed after using the menstrual cup in the 5th month, when 98% of them reported to have no odor whatsoever. The testimony of this data is actually Mrs. Anita Pal. She says, "My period blood is so dark and thick that I was so grossed out by it that I couldn't eat food properly. Since I've started using a menstrual cup, I have no such problems. And let me tell you, she's not the only one who's had such experiences." Using a menstrual cup has helped convert her mindset from thinking that it is something that is dirty, something to be grossed out about, to something being completely normal, just how she is on any other days. This is powerful because using the menstrual cup actually normalizes the taboo, and it normalizes our experience or our mindset towards periods. And that's why we're giving a TED Talk to promote that. Another testimony is Miss Khushbu Thakur, who says, "When I used to teach dance using pads, irritation was a common problem, as well as I had to take a leave because I used to feel intense pain. However, since I started using the menstrual cup, my menstrual cramps have reduced, and now I can teach without taking any leave." And once again, she's not the only one who's had such experience. About 9% of the users that we surveyed said that their menstrual cramps reduced after using the menstrual cup. How cool is that? Now, we believe this could have been due to physiological or psychological reasons, but it has transformed Khushbu's and others' lives. Khushbu is now an avid user of the menstrual cup, and she's convinced many of her family members and many of her friends to try the menstrual cup. Now, because there are so many transformations that has led her in using the menstrual cup so much better, and she's become much more efficient in carrying out her daily performances, there's a sense of liberation in her lifestyle. And that's how menstrual cup actually helps in transforming lifestyles as well as empowering women.
Yeah, and hearing all these amazing experiences from the lifestyle benefits is just amazing. And it's even topped off with this little cherry of the environmental benefit. So we all know with the state of our environment today, we should probably do something before it's too late. And every little thing we do counts. So what we wanted to know was the impact of using menstrual cups. And we asked, what was the environmental awareness, consciousness that these women had? So before using the menstrual cup, 30% said that they were somewhat environmentally aware. However, after using the cup, 92% of respondents said that they became environmentally aware. So what does that mean? It might mean that the menstrual cup helps bring that connection, makes it stronger and easier to see how menstruation has an impact on the environment. And what's really important is that we make that connection. Even on our periods, we have that responsibility to consider the environment. And we're not claiming that menstrual cups are going to solve climate change or even eliminate the majority of landfill waste, although they do have a significant impact. For each person, if you use a menstrual cup, it can eliminate 200 pounds of trash over one's menstruating lifetime. But what's really important is that mindset shift, that no matter what activity we're doing, even menstruation, we have a responsibility. And another testament to why this is so important is when we met Rena. She told us that in the area she lives, they don't have proper waste disposal. So she has to, and many others, have to dispose of their pads, cloth, things like that in this pond. This is her backyard. This is her home. So for her, this is a direct impact. And we can bring the same mindset to our own lives. We need to think about what we consume, what we eat, what we buy, and where it goes after we throw it away. And that's the mindset that'll help us save our environment.
So, as we have seen, there are lots of different taboos surrounding the topic of menstruation. So, what can we do? What is there to do? Well, first of all, we can be much more open and aware in being able to share our menstrual experiences with one another. That's the first start. And all the guys and non-menstruators out there, we have to be more supportive, understanding, and most importantly, aware of the needs of the menstruators and the women out there. And as we've been talking about, there are lots of benefits to using the menstrual cup. So we've proposed a challenge to you guys. All of you are challenged to go and spread or tell at least 3 or more people about the menstrual cup. We're not doing this just for the sake of the challenge, but it's to show our respect towards the environment and various other benefits that other menstruators can experience from using the menstrual cup. This is the least we can do for our planet. So as you can see so far, we love the menstrual cup. But let's now hear from various other users that we interviewed who use the menstrual cup.
ये नया महावारी कप है, इसे हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं।
पीरियड के दिन आसानी से बीत जाते हैं और पीरियड कब आते हैं कब चले जाते हैं कुछ मालूम ही नहीं लगता।
जैसे मुझे हमेशा टेंशन लगती थी कि मेरे पीरियड स्टार्ट होने वाले हैं तो मुझे पैड से लेकर तैयारी करनी है, स्टेन तो नहीं लगा है। और जब से मैंने ये यूज करना स्टार्ट किया है, I don't have to care about any of these things.
जैसे कपड़े से बेहतर पैड से बहुत ही बेहतर ये कप है।
आज हम इसको यूज करके महामारी के समय में कहीं भी जा सकते हैं, कहीं भी आ सकते हैं।
काम भी हम पूरे अच्छे से और मन लगा के अपना कर सकते हैं, कोई किसी तरह की कोई टेंशन नहीं होती है। जब मैं कभी बाहर जाती हूँ और मेरे साथ मेरे पास नहीं रहता है तो मुझे बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम होती है।
एक बार डर छोड़े, इस्तेमाल करे, उसके बाद खुद फर्क जान जाएगा।
इंडिया 1947 में आज़ाद हुआ था, लेकिन मुझे आज़ादी 2018 में मिली, जब मुझे मेंस्ट्रुअल कप मिला। तो ये मेरे लिए एक तरह से जीवन दान है।
हम सोचते हैं हमारी और भी बहनें यूज करें और इसको यूज करके जो आज आनंद हम उठा रहे हैं वो दूसरी भी बहनें उठाएं।
Wow. So hearing their stories and experiences, seriously, it inspires us every single day. And we're so honored to have been a part of this project. We know this is just the beginning. We see these impacts and benefits that the menstrual cup has had for my own life, my friends, and through this project. And we know that for the health, the lifestyle benefits, everyone should know about the menstrual cup as an option for menstrual management. So we also see that environmental component is awesome as well and vital for that mindset shift to saving our environment. What we also learned was that menstruation, we need to redefine it. Everyone deserves this redefinition for what it really is: natural and beautiful. In fact, it's the indicator of a healthy reproductive cycle and the ability to create life. So, what can you do? We invite you to join the conversation today.
Let's talk about menstruation.
Thank
you.
you.